Alright everyone, welcome to a Resident Evil 2 remake, hardcore knife only, Claire A speedrun. This run will be in 60 FPS and not in 120, and that'll show you guys the difficulty of how the bosses are compared to 120 FPS. So to begin this run, we're going to go ahead and start with the gas station. In the gas station, you want to take an immediate left as soon as you enter, because if you run forward, you'll lose about half a second whenever you're making small turns around these shelves.
Are you okay?
And that makes a big difference for the very beginning of the game.
I'll check it out.
So once we deal with this first zombie, what we want to do is immediately walk by it. And we're going to do some strats similar to NG, the new game categories. But we're not going to shoot it in the face because we're using knife only. So we just let it walk by with enough distance that we can walk by it without taking any damage. Yeah, that's basically it for the gas station. The gas station really isn't too much, just like any other categories within this game. So compared to 60 FPS to 120 FPS, the knife works with damage with frame rate, and so the higher the frame rate, the more damage the knife does. So this is why I'm doing it on 60 FPS to show you guys that it's definitely possible to do this on 60 FPS. It's just a lot more difficult. So we're going to be taking advantage of one mechanic within the game. Whenever Claire is on caution, Claire has a little running boost, and it saves about around 2 seconds every 15 to 10 seconds. I'm not really too sure, but it does save time throughout the entire run. So I'm going to try and stay on caution the entire run, see how much time we can save. So you see that zombie ahead of us is not really going to do too much. He's not a threat at all until we meet this one that's standing there. You want to take a small right, get away from it a little bit. And you don't want to take a bite from him. So yeah, on hardcore, zombies do quite a bit of damage. If you're on fine HP, you'll go into immediate danger HP. But except for that zombie that I took intentional damage from, it'll only put you in caution. But it'll put you in the lower half of caution, which I will be explaining later on how that makes a difference whenever you're running on caution. So there's a first aid spray to the left there in the women's restroom. I think it's a women's restroom, I'm not even too sure. Yeah, I might grab that just for a safer run to make sure I don't die later on, but yeah, that's fine. We can just bypass it for now. So this zombie here, once it enters, you want to run away from it as soon as possible, because if he ends up chasing you out of the room, he will be a problem and a threat later on whenever you come back into this area. So those two zombies there, you can just immediately walk by them. You don't have to be on caution. You can be on fine, and they won't be a threat to you. So there you go. So now we got that done. Now we're going to get our first breakable knife. And now I'm just going to clean up some storage space. Again, storage space is very important, guys. I'm going to be putting stuff in the first slot whenever I need them to, so that I can immediately use them, so that I don't waste a lot of time being in the inventory menus. So another thing I want to clarify, whenever we got the breakable knife, we are allowed to use the infinite knife for hardcore, so that's what I'll be using throughout the boss fights in the run. So going into this long hallway, since we're running on Claire A, there's no threats the first time we enter. But when we come back through here, there's going to be a few zombies in the way. If we were playing Claire B, that would have been a licker I would have had to avoid already. But for now, we're perfectly fine running Claire A. So you see that zombie on the vending machine, you want to immediately take a left and run towards this direction, and get away from that room as soon as possible, so that he's not a threat later on when we go back. So here we're going to grab this wooden plank and lock this zombie away. We do not want him to get out, because we are going to come back down here, and if we didn't do that, he will be coming out of the window. So this guy, you want to knife him in the ankles. This guy is probably the most dangerous zombie in the game, because since I am on caution, he can knock me down to the floor, and that'll put me on danger, and then he'll bite me, and then I'll immediately die. So I have no chances, even with a caution. So there, as you can see, I put the key in my first slot, because I will be using that item. So here I'm taking intentional damage. I'm going to get bit from behind, because getting bit from behind like that is probably the fastest attack animation zombies have. As you can see, I didn't use a first aid spray to put myself on fine HP. I used an herb to put me back to caution to keep that running boost. Alright, you see, now that zombie on the vending machine is still over there with the vending machine. He's not a threat at all. Alright, so the code here is 9157. And what's in here is a hip pouch. And that'll give us 2 extra slots to carry more items. You don't need to get this, but if you don't get it, it's very hard to survive because you can't carry that many healing items. So definitely gonna take that for now. Alright, so now we meet up with Marvin, and now we're gonna continue on going to the bolt cutters. So yeah, so now that we have the spade key, there's about maybe 2 more locks, I believe. Yeah, there's 2 more locks. One in the library and then this lock. And then we can get rid of the spade key. Another thing I want to mention is that you want about 2 herbs throughout this part of the game, and this one will allow me to get 2 of them. Yeah, there are a couple of lickers and zombies that we can avoid. So taking damage and then healing up immediately is definitely the way to go. So just try to keep 2 or 3 herbs, but I normally keep 2. So now we got the bolt cutters, and I put them in the first slot in my inventory because now we're going to be using that item. See, immediately I don't have to scroll through my inventory slots. So as you can see, that I mentioned about that zombie coming out of that room. The zombie didn't come out of the room, and now there's no zombie there. So it's very nice. We would have to like maybe lose 5 to 10 seconds trying to avoid that one zombie. Now we're gonna get the fuse and get out of this room without any threats. That zombie that was in that room with me has quite a bit of RNG. Sometimes he can be really close to me, or sometimes he's just like super far away, where he's not even a threat at all. It's just really, really bad RNG within the game, especially with knife only. Since you can't counter the RNG with like shooting the zombie in the head and make him flinch and just run by it. So usually when things go wrong, we run away from the zombies. So here with the zombie, you want to take it right and then go past him. Yeah, you don't want to make an immediate left towards the main opening in the hall because he'll still grab you. So there we not took intentional damage. We tried running right by him, but he still grabbed us. But the best thing about it was that we got grabbed from behind and we didn't lose that much time. So this would be the last time we use the bolt cutters, so that now we can get rid of it and then grab the detonator. So yeah, so now we have 2 herbs again. See, like things like that can happen with RNG with zombies. So there's herbs laying around and you can just immediately grab them and still hold 2 herbs. Again, you don't want to carry too many herbs because it'll be taking too many inventory slots and you'd have to waste time clearing space. Alright, so now that's over. Now that we use the valve, we're going to get the battery for the detonator, and we're going to meet with the first licker in the game. Now this licker doesn't really pose a threat. Usually it'll attack once, but after that you're just home free to go. But I think this time around we got very lucky with RNG and went right by the licker without taking any damage. On hardcore that is extremely difficult to do, and again it's just random. So the code here, we got the double fish, the scorpion, and the vase. So this is the first medallion. Now we're going to go ahead and grab the second one. So here we're going to grab another breakable knife. And then now we are going to push this shelf early. The reason why we're pushing this shelf early is because whenever we come back into this room with 3 zombies awake and Mr. X running around, we do not want to waste too much time pushing those shelves because a zombie and Mr. X can do a combo attack and immediately kill me, even if I'm on fine state. So this is why we are we are pushing that shelf right away. So here's the second medallion, and the puzzle for this is the lady, the bow, and the snake. So now we spawned a licker. We're gonna try to run by it by going straight at it. But I think this time we got licked. Yep, we got licked. That's fine. And now we would go back into the caution state using another herb. Things like that can happen. So you see that lady that I'm looking at right there. The reason why I'm looking at where she's at, because she is probably the worst zombie in this room, and she can definitely destroy me easily. But luckily, her RNG favored um, my path and allowed me to run by her without any problems. So there, that was the last time we used the spade key, and now we're gonna grab the lion medallion. So for the code here is the lion, the leaf, and the bird. And now that is the first PD area. Yeah, I kind of said that completely wrong. But we go through the PD twice, so this is the first time we are going through it, and we completed it fairly easily. It's not too bad. So now we're going to head into our first boss fight, G1. And for that, we're going to go to the item box and grab the infinite knife. Now, you don't have to grab the infinite knife in this fight. Um, you don't need it yet. But I am grabbing it so that I can save those breakable knives that I have in my inventory. I don't want to use them yet because I kind of want to save them as for safety, as in like if I get grabbed by a zombie later on, or a licker jumps on me, or even for the IVs way down the line in the lab. Yeah, so for G1, the strat here is sort of similar to 120 FPS, but in 120 FPS, we can one cycle G1. And since it's on 60 FPS, yeah, it takes about 2 cycles. So here we're going to get right in front of him, stab him over and over while he's transforming still. And once he's done with this transformation animation, we're going to stay on the left of him so that he doesn't grab us. And so here he's going to go around me trying to attack me, and we're going to avoid all of his damage there. And now since that he's vulnerable, we're going to go ahead and stab him over and over again. And here I'm hoping he grabs me. But I think right now, yeah, he's not going to grab. He's going to go for 3 attacks. Now going to go back to him, stab him maybe 1 or twice, and there you go, stabbed him once. So that's the grab animation I was talking about. Use the infinite knife, which is fine, and then use the breakable knife and make him vulnerable again. And then now that he's vulnerable, we can kill him. That's basically G1 there. Not too bad of a fight on 60 FPS. So what's nice about using the infinite knife on the bosses, so like they end up dying, right? The boss dies with your infinite knife stuck to them. But after the boss, you know, disappears and the fight's over, the knife will drop back into the map, and you can take it back. So you definitely want to take advantage of the infinite knife on the boss fights there.
So, what's your mom like?
But now that the fight is over, we don't fight G2 until maybe about 20 minutes from now or more. So right now the infinite knife is useless. You want the infinite knife throughout this entire run. If you end up using it on Mr. X, the run is over, since you can't take back knives from Mr. X at all. And if you use it on a zombie or a licker, you're gonna have to kill that zombie or licker to save your run. So now that we met up with Sherry for the first time, we're gonna interact with this box, the card box, whatever that is, and Sherry has disappeared. Chief Irons, one of the antagonists in the game, has taken Sherry, and now we're gonna have to go and get her back. So here, there's gonna be three lickers in this area. So here, we're just gonna run by him without any problems, and this guy's gonna end up jumping, and he completely missed. So you want to take an exact path, that exact path that I took, without taking any damage. So only way. So here with this zombie, you can pull out this tray, like maybe stop right there before I ended up pulling it out all the way. You do not have to pull that tray all the way out, and you can still grab the key. It saves about like half a second, or maybe a little bit less. Alright, going back here, since he jumped on the ceiling, he will be attacking us later. So there you go, he jumped at us, and now he's going to go around us right there, and we can just walk right by him. And now with this licker in this hall, we're going to turn around, pull out our knife, he's going to jump over us, and now we can immediately run away. He will jump back again, but he won't be a threat. And there you go, we ran by 3 lickers, and ran by 2 of them twice without taking any damage. So again, you want to take that exact path and that strategy without taking any damage there. So here we're using the diamond key, the key that we got from the tray where the zombie was laying down on. And this will be the only time we'll be using the diamond key, so we'll get rid of it whenever we find the next item box, which will be in a couple minutes here. Or a minute. Yeah, I overestimated that time. So going up this elevator, we're going to go into Chief Iron's area. And you see that herb to my left? We won't be grabbing it now because it'll take too much inventory space. And I don't want to get rid of that herb. So we're going to save until after the sherry segment within the game. So what I got rid of was the key, the diamond key, and the infinite knife. Because they are completely useless. And I need the inventory space right now. So here is the heart key. Since I am playing on controller, I can't turn this thing all the way with my DPI on a mouse. I don't know if you, yeah, you guys, I haven't told you guys yet, but I am playing on a controller. And that loses quite a bit of time compared to keyboard and mouse speedrunners. But that is fine. Trying to cope with that time loss and trying to save as much time as possible on boss fights and everything else in the run. So here we're gonna go grab the large gear and the electronic parts. There you go. But first we gotta deal with this zombie. So here we're gonna go into this door and grab the electronic part and a knife. And we're gonna try and get in front of the door with the zombie, and he should be coming out. But this time around, I wasn't exactly in front of the door, so he didn't come out with the next push. So we lost a little bit of time there. And now we're gonna grab the blue herb. And let me tell you guys, the blue, green, and red herb combinations are a lifesaver in this run. Now, it's not optimal to do it on NG, since you want to be on caution constantly, and using red, green, and blue herbs puts you on fine state, losing time. But for knife only, it definitely helps, because there are a lot of things that can kill your run with RNG, and you definitely want to use them in this next section of the game, because there are too many zombies, and Mr. X is just constantly chasing us. So here, I never explained stair skating. Stair skating is a huge mechanic whenever you're walking or running on stairs. And what you do is aim down sights. Like, you just pull the trigger or whatever the aim down sight button it is on your keyboard. And it gives Claire and Leon a little speed boost on stairs. And there's a lot of stairs within this game, so you'll save a ton of time doing stair skating. So now we're dealing with Mr. X for the first time. And before we spawn Mr. X, I got rid of a knife to make some space for another healing item. Again, having 3 knives here is kind of bad. You don't need that many knives, so carrying 2 right now is perfectly fine. And we do still need to make space for the mechanic handle whenever we come back to the library and use it. So here we go, going into this room, and there's actually a zombie there. That's completely random. Usually there's never a zombie there. And now this liquor, we're going to go to the right and avoid its attack. There you go. It wasn't too much of a threat there. Alright, so that's the last time we're going to be using the heart key, and now we got the mechanic handle, and I have no space, so I'm going to use the red, green, and blue herb here because there are so many threats right now. So now Mr. X ended up spawning. It's fine. He ended up teleporting here. So we're going to avoid his attack and then run away from him. And now we're going to deal with 2 zombies and a liquor, and that's fine. Use a knife. So this is why you have your knives here. Because that part is ridiculous. Too many zombies in the way, and Mr. X is there too. Absolutely crazy. So use a knife there really isn't too much of a problem. And now we're going to go back into the library. So Mr. X is chasing from behind. Luckily we made enough distance between each other so that he won't be a threat coming into the library. So there you go. We just woke up that zombie that was on the floor. That zombie that was eating that person on the floor is now up as well. And then the lady that I mentioned in the library is also here as well. So that's 3 zombies and Mr. X. So while we're pushing this, we're going to check where the zombies are at. And we got good RNG with that lady. Usually she'll end up chasing. So getting bit once isn't a problem coming into the library. But getting bit twice can definitely be a game changer. And I don't know why Mr. X did not come into the room. We actually had that much distance to where he's still in the main hall in the PD. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and use the large gear and complete the gear puzzles to get the last electronic part. So everything was very well executed. So another thing I want to mention about FPS in this game. FPS makes a difference on enemy AI, your running speed, and inventory management, and the boss fights with FPS and using a knife. So you'll notice a big difference if you're running through your inventory on 120 FPS and 60 FPS. It's a huge difference. On 120 FPS, the game allows you to put in more
That
inputs, and
works?
it'll read more inputs to speed up your with how fast you're going through your inventory. And so since there's 60 FPS, there's only you can only put 60 inputs per second compared to 120 inputs per second. So that's a huge difference. So here, going into this door, that zombie, you can run by him, but I got completely unlucky, but then not really unlucky. It actually put us into caution, and it gave us that running boost again. Again, getting the running boost here is a huge game changer because we're going to be running around completely without dealing with any zombies. And yeah, being on fine state loses quite a bit of time. So now that we have the electronic parts, we can go ahead and deal with this puzzle here. So again, I'm on controller. I cannot turn this box immediately and interact with the front of it to open the box and get the electronic part. So yeah, that's a time loss compared to keyboard and mouse again. So with this puzzle, you see that blue block there. Usually on every story, you press it 2 or 3 times. It just depends. I think it's most of the time is 3 times. And then you just solve the rest from there. And now we're going to play as Sherry. So the beginning of the Sherry, you deal with this puzzle, and this puzzle has so much RNG. Let me explain why. When you place the block and move the first block to the third spot, um, RNG can take over, and maybe you can only move 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the blocks to solve the puzzle. If you're lucky, you'll only have to move 1 block. But this time around, I had to move all 4, and I lost incredible amount of time there, maybe about 10 to 15 seconds. It's just a horrible puzzle within the game. Yeah, you have no control over it.
What is this?
And yeah, again, it is the most horrible puzzle within the game. Now, there's other puzzles that have RNG, but it doesn't really lose that much time as the Sherry puzzle. It's completely ridiculous. So climbing this, you want to go as close to this window here so that you can immediately interact with it. Because if you climb on the very left of that shelf, Sherry goes very slow towards that window. So you want to be to the very right near the window to save as much time. So yeah, this part is probably like the Super Mario Bros. Or the Super Mario World auto-scrollers. Yeah, this part takes quite a bit of time. So yeah, it's not too bad, but nothing much would be happening here instead of avoiding chief irons.
It's him.
So yeah, guys, for hardcore knife only, you could do any story: Claire A, Claire B, Leon A, Leon B. But there are gonna be different strats for each of them. So for this, let me see. For this commentary, excuse me, the strats are for specifically this run. Not all strats, but some of the strats is only specific for this one. So now we just gotta wait for Chief Irons. Chief Irons takes quite a bit of a time here. So yeah, to avoid Chief Irons, we're gonna hide behind this this little desk here. And then now he'll be going around the desk, and we just gotta go around and avoid him. So after we get around his desk and get to the other side of the room, we can stand in the one specific spot, standing up, and he still will not see us. But I'm going to be playing it safe because I don't know the exact spot, and I'm just going to go ahead and hide it from him. I do not want to be taking a death here or getting caught from him. Getting caught by him, because if we end up getting caught, we have to go back to the very beginning of the game, and we don't want to do that, especially like if you're trying to like do a marathon run, because that's a huge time loss. It's basically wasted about 20 to 25 minutes. I don't know how long it took us to get here, maybe around 20 minutes. That's a huge time loss. So yeah, for hardcore, you have to be saving in order to make your own checkpoints. If you're playing on standard, you don't have to worry about that. There's so many checkpoints on standard, which is very nice. So yeah, there we hid behind those colorful blocks until he turned around with his flashlight. And as soon as he walks over to the other side of the room, we come behind his desk and avoid him. So that spot where I mentioned about standing up entirely and he still won't see you. You see those white shelves to the left of Sherry's head? You stand there and he will not see you at all. So the strat that I'll be doing here is, you see those books? Once he knocks them down, we're gonna run right behind him and get as close to the door as possible. And now we spawn in front of the door, and now we grab the key and run away. So an optimal time here is interacting with this door before he says I see you. And nicely done. We ended up interacting with the door before he said I. And that's a huge time save, especially in this section of the game, because it's not that much time to save here. That's like practically the only time save. So now we got this little animation here, and Chief Iron's just gonna spawn and break the door. And yeah, that's basically the Sherry section. Not that really difficult. The only problem is, you know, getting caught by Chief Irons to restart the entire game, and that RNG puzzle. The only two things that are problematic within that small section of the game. So now we're gonna play as Claire again. So now we got this garage keycard, and now we can go back to the garage and interact with that box before we lost Sherry. So before we go over there, we're gonna interact with this item box and put away the key. Again, remember when I mentioned that was the last time we're gonna use a heart key, so now we just get rid of it. And going back to this herb, now we can go ahead and grab it. So yeah, as you saw there with the random inventory opening, I'll be doing that throughout the entire run just to make sure I have my slots ready to be available, or to see where my healing items are, or the keys I need to use, so that I can know where to maneuver through my inventory slots and use them immediately. What a voice crack. Alright, so now that spawns Mr. X. And here we're gonna go ahead and let him attack us twice, and of course we're gonna avoid it. And there you go. So there's an herb to the right, so we're gonna grab it. Now, I didn't have to go for that herb. It loses probably like a second or two. But it'll help us out throughout the sewer section of the game. So you see from the distance there's a zombie there. There's actually two zombies at that door. And since I have enough knives, I'm gonna go ahead. You see I have one knife left. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of it. Nice. So yeah, if I didn't have that knife, I wouldn't have intentionally gotten grabbed there. I would have avoided them entirely. Alright, so now we're gonna meet up with dogs for the first time. Now dogs aren't really affected by FPS, like I mentioned before. So you won't be seeing a difference on their pathing when they attack you or anything. With zombies you do, and lickers, but with dogs, I don't know why they're just not affected by it. Alright, so dealing with the dogs here. There's gonna be a dog jumping on this car. We're just gonna go around it. Now with this dog that's eating that person, we're gonna head towards the right a little bit and then run by it. So as you can see on that red bench, there's a green herb. We're not gonna grab it since I already have 4 in my inventory. If I had maybe 2, I would have gone for it. But for now, I don't need to go for it. It's about like a 10-second time loss or more. So here we're gonna grab our next blue herb. I was about to say it was our first. I don't think it's our first. I think it's our second one. And now we're gonna go into the bus and avoid the zombies. So on hardcore, zombies do double lunges depending on how close you are to them. And so you just gotta keep that in mind. On standard, they only lunge twice. So here I'm checking how the dogs are gonna behave, just to make sure I ran by them nicely. And we almost got grabbed by another dog. I forgot there were 2 dogs here. So yeah, I was just keeping an eye on one of them and totally forgot about the other. So yeah, going back to what I was saying about the zombies. On hardcore, they can lunge twice. They can also lunge once, but depending on how close they are after their first lunge, they'll go ahead and lunge again. Just gotta keep that in mind on hardcore. Just makes the run a little bit longer if you have to avoid it twice, compared to standard if you just run away from them from one lunge, and you can just go back at them. So again, stair skating is very important here. I don't know if you guys notice. There's about like a little frame jump when I'm doing stair skating. I want to get that with every stair skate, so let's see if we get it again here. And I don't know if that saves time compared to not getting it. But yeah, I end up doing it over and over until I hit that little frame skip. And now we're gonna lose Sherry once again. I know we just saw her and we were just with her for like maybe 30 seconds, but we are gonna lose her again. And now we go on into the sewer section of the game where we meet with G-Adults for the first time. G-Adults are probably the worst enemy within the game. They poison you and they slow you down tremendously being poisoned. Being poisoned is the equivalent as being on danger status on your HP. Plus, having that coughing animation, which makes you run slower than danger. You always have to keep in mind to carry some blue herbs here, which I will be taking advantage of within this section of the game. This is why I grabbed that blue herb in the, before we entered the bus, where the dogs were at. Alright, so in this room, there's going to be 2 zombies we have to avoid. So we're going to do like half of a figure 8 around them to avoid them. And there you go. Nothing too difficult there. And now we got to go save Sherry. We're going to save Sherry. And to do that, we need the chess puzzle pieces, which is the Rook, King, and Queen pieces. So to go ahead and do that, we take a right, but first we're going to take a left and grab the T-bar valve to help us grab those pieces. And there's also a red herb there, so we can make a large healing item. So very nice. Again, I'm going to be grabbing every healing item within this section of the game because there are zombies, G-Adults, and more zombies everywhere. So here is very dangerous. What I'm gonna keep in mind is trying to use a green herb. Nice. Okay, so there I was trying to make sure if the zombie was gonna grab me from in front or from behind, because if I get grabbed from in front, I was gonna have to use a healing item to avoid getting knocked to the ground. Because if you get grabbed in front, the other zombie is gonna grab me and is gonna push me to the ground, put me on danger, and then I get bit, which causes me to die. So again, whenever I'm on caution there, I'm taking it very carefully and making sure that I don't get grabbed from the front. So getting grabbed from behind there is the best thing that can happen. So there you go, we saw our first G-Adult. And since it's not making its babies there, it's gonna be in the way coming back down. So that's fine, it's a little bit of a time loss. So with that zombie on the floor, we're gonna open this door, and as soon as we open it, he's gonna wake up. So as soon as we grab this rook plug, we're gonna run away, go back to this room, and since we were fast enough, he's not really a threat. So there you go, we just avoided about 4 zombies in that room. Nicely done. So again, since it didn't make its babies, he is in the way, or she, whatever. And so we gotta wait until it despawns. So once the animation starts, right there, I can jump down and avoid it. And oof, we got some bad RNG here. I don't know what to do here. I'm gonna run in between and see what happens. Actually, no, I'm going to the right. Alright, we avoided it. Nicely done. Okay, I think I got extremely lucky there. I should have gotten attacked by that yellow vest zombie. But I'm not gonna complain about it. We got lucky, and I'm gonna take it. Again, hardcore knife only is nothing but RNG with these zombies, and you cannot do anything about it. You either take the damage or run away from them, losing time. If we were playing NG, we could have just shot it in the face and ran by it without any problems. Alright, so now we're heading to the Queen and King plugs, and here I'm checking to see if I should grab this herb. So you can see I only have 1 slot left, and I need 2 slots for the King and Queen plugs, but it's fine. I'm going to use an herb here because if we get grabbed by this G-Adult, even if we're on caution, instead of vomiting on me and poisoning me, it'll probably eat my face. So we've got to keep that in mind. And here, since we avoided 1 G-Adult, we could not get the second one. Well, just because you dodge the first one doesn't mean you can't dodge the second one. I was hoping for a different animation, attack animation from this G-Adult, but it didn't happen. So that's fine. We got the red, green, and blue herb to use to heal us. And now we have that extra HP with the little green shield on the bottom right of the screen. I never explained that little green shield. So that green shield will be depleting all the way down. So it's like a timer. So we'll only have that little extended HP until that shield disappears. So we want to take complete advantage of it. Alright, so here's the small puzzle for the king and queen plugs. Takes a little bit, but it's not that confusing. I remember the first time playing here, I was super confused. It took me probably like 10 minutes to solve it. It's not even that difficult at all. So that zombie there isn't a threat on knife only, since you don't need to grab that weapon. What is it called? I don't even know what it's called. I don't even play any of the other categories within this game. I just do strictly knife only. I don't even know what that weapon's called. But since you don't need it, you don't have to deal with that zombie over there. And there you go. That is the king and queen plug. So now we grab this red herb and make another large healing item. So very clean. Again, doing this as fast as possible because one, it's a speed run, and then two, that extra HP that I have. So with this Geodolt, I want it to make its babies, so I'm waiting until that animation begins. And there you go. Nice. So now we can just run by it without any problems. And then the second Geodolt is trying to chase me and just way too far away. Alright, so one more Geodolt that we have to deal with. So all I'm going to do is spawn the Geodolt, climb up this little ledge, and we're going to climb down as soon as it attacks. Nice. So whenever you're climbing up or down those ledges, you have quite a bit of iframes, and even if that attack was supposed to hit me, it was supposed to hit me, since I had those iframes, it just completely misses me. So take advantage of that little time save. So here, the zombies shouldn't be in my way on the staircase, and oh my gosh, I almost got grabbed by that zombie. It would have been fine if I did get grabbed, but again, getting grabbed is a little bit of a time loss. But I think it would have been more of a time save if I got grabbed there to put me on caution to give me that little speed boost. Alright, so we're going to interact with this item box, get rid of the T-bar, valve, and grab the infinite knife for the next boss fight, which is G2. Again, I moved my knife from the very first slot because I want to do this puzzle as soon as possible, and putting stuff in my first slot will speed up my inventory process. There, made a little mistake. Can't put an herb in there. And there you go. That is the puzzle, the chess puzzle for Claire A. The puzzle is the same thing for Leon A, just for those who are wondering. Just the A story and the B story are different. Alright, so the game gives me quite a bit of healing items for this fight, which is very nice of them. This fight is probably the worst fight for knife only because G2's attack animations are pretty bad. And hopefully we get lucky here and hope that we hit him enough times in the eye to make him flinch. So here we're going to try and avoid that attack. Nicely done. And we're going to go into this corner here, aim down our sights with the gun, and put it away, and pull out the knife. So here, G2 will be attacking the same part of the ceiling over and over until maybe about 5 or 6 times. Depends on what he wants to do. I think it's 5 times. That's the 3rd time. And every time he brings down his arm, we're going to try and hit him once or twice. Trying to get lucky here. That's the 4th time, I believe. I don't know. I wasn't keeping count. So there, I kept missing until we finally hit him. Finally. And I think that's the 5th. He might attack one more time. I could be wrong. There you go. There's another time. There you go, G2. Always wasting my time. Always. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and start the beginning of this fight. The beginning here, we're gonna attack him a few times. 2, 3, 4. I actually did 1 extra hit, and I shouldn't have. It should have been 4. So now he's gonna be chasing us instead of attacking in that room. The best thing to happen is for him to attack in that room to give me enough space to push this button and then attack him when he jumps down. But that is not the case. So we just gotta adapt to it. So we're gonna push this button, get this knife on this sack here, and then hope that he does a good attack animation. That is a perfect attack animation. There you go. So every time we hit his eye, he's gonna be vulnerable like that and give us more attack damage. Okay, nice. Wow, I got lucky there. That shouldn't have happened. So here, we're going to try and be behind him, stab him once, and then do that attack animation over and over. That's probably the best attack animation with this fight, but it takes a while because we run away over and over like that. Nice. Okay, so now that we got him flinched and he's vulnerable on the floor, we're going to go ahead and stab him over and over. We're going to do this twice. The second time takes a very long time, though. But the first time is faster because we have easier chance of stabbing him in the eye. So now he's going to go straight back to that attack animation. I'm going to go back over and over again until we get it done. And okay, I got hit there. That's fine. I don't know why I did not go to caution state. I should have been into caution. And we avoided that attack. Nicely done. This gives us an easier chance of stabbing the eye. So there you go. Now he's flinched. And then we're going to keep on attacking him until he's done with that little animation. I got lucky again. Nicely done. So yeah, that attack animation only gives me enough time to stab him once or twice. Usually it's once. That's why I run away after attacking once. And maybe I'll get him there. Nope. Okay, now we're on caution. That's fine. So we're going to hope that he does one more attack animation. There you go. Attack him once, run away, hit him in the eye, and hopefully this knocks him down here. Nope. Didn't knock him down. That's fine. Yeah, see, the second phase is always a lot longer than the first. So we just got to deal with it for now. My goodness, I can't believe he's still not down. Okay. Once he's down, we're going to attack him a little bit more. And then push the button to finally kill this boss. You need to kill him by pushing him down with this box. By pushing that button. So yeah, if I'm not attacking him here, the fight would not be over. I wouldn't have done enough damage to kill him. But since we did enough damage, the fight is over. Alright, so luckily G2 put us into caution. So we have a little bit of a time save within this little section. And then after we put Sherry on the bed within the lab. So yeah guys, so we dealt with G1 and G2 boss fights. And we needed the infinite knife to complete it. Now we can try and save as many breakable knives, but it wouldn't have... The breakable knives cannot withstand the amount of HP they have. And we probably would have ran out of knives in that G2 boss fight alone. So again, the infinite knife is definitely necessary on hardcore. I don't know about Leon A though. Leon A is probably possible. I haven't attempted it at all. But Leon A, the reason why I say it's possible is because you get about maybe 4 extra knives compared to Claire. And that's quite a bit of knives. But the problem is you cannot get rid of those knives at all. It's pretty tough. On standard, you are not allowed to have the infinite knife, but that's because the boss fight HP are much less compared to hardcore. And then not only that, the zombies' running speed, walking speed are super slow compared to hardcore. And you don't have to deal with that double lunge either. Alright, so now we're heading into the last section of the game, which is the lab. The lab's pretty tough, especially on 60 FPS. Because again, the damage with the knife is carried, is tied with FPS. And the higher the FPS, the more damage the knife does. But since we are in super low FPS, 60, it takes a while to kill zombies and lickers, which what I will be doing in this part of the game. You guys will finally see me kill some zombies and lickers. The zombies aren't really that much of a threat, but since they're on the floor, not really doing anything. But the lickers will be pretty fun. Let's see how that goes. So there, I'm checking my inventory to see how many healing items I have, and I have too many. Usually I don't have this much, but yeah, so I only have 1 slot. So I need about maybe 3 slots within this part of the game. So we're gonna get a knife here, and the modulator to complete the next part of the game. And not only that, we need the container too for the herbicide to get the, what is it? The other badge. I don't even know what it's called. But just like this one, but it's the purple one, the third one. Alright, so there you go. I have no inventory space. Now this zombie, it gave us enough space, so I'm able to run by it. If it didn't give me enough space, I would have waited in that hall, let it chase me, and then ran away from him. after his lunge animations. But RNG took over and helped us out. So I have too many items. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of them. Again, having too many items, like I said, could be a time loss, and that is a time loss there. So again, item management is super important within the run. So we're playing the A story. On the B story, the modulator is right next to that guy. And just because the modulator is there on the B story is so much easier within the lab. But since we're on Claire A, we're going to have to go through the hell that we have to go through in a few minutes. Alright, so now we're going to meet up with the Ivies for the first time. The Ivies are one-shot kill, and which is why I try to save as many breakable knives as possible. Usually I carry around 2 or 1 here. 2 to stay safe. 1 barely possible to do. If I have no breakable knives here, I'm gonna die. It's super tough to avoid these Ivies. There's only one that I can avoid that I know I can do it 100%, but the other ones I really don't know if I'm able to do it. So here we're gonna deal with the lab codes is with 3123, and then the next code is 2067 to get the container and opening other doors within this next part of the game. It's one latch going to the bottom floor of the lab, and then we're gonna open up the next puzzle to get the herbicide. And there you go. Yeah, you don't need to put in the codes to get that container. The codes are for something else. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and grab this red herb. More healing items, the better. So I'm gonna go ahead and combine them, make up some space. And this is what one of the codes unlocked, this little puzzle here. So we are on the A story. The code is RGB, RGB, RG. Those are just the acronym for the puzzle. Again, R means red, G means green, B means blue. And there you go. Pretty easy puzzle. Now again, guys, if you guys don't know all the puzzles within the game, you can go ahead and make a cheat sheet. That's what I do. I still do it, even though I've completed this game tens of times already, and it still saves me a lot of time. So this is the one Ivy that I can avoid, but for speedrunning, for marathon purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and avoid it, make it easier for you guys. Alright, so we're gonna grab this blue herb and make another large healing item. Again, this next part of the game is gonna be pretty tough, especially with the liquors. The liquors can do quite a bit of damage. So before we deal with the liquors, we're gonna go ahead and kill a few zombies. As you can see, I looked at my inventory there. I made sure that I had the infinite knife equipped. I don't want to use a regular knife here because I don't want it to break. So with killing zombies on 60 FPS, you see that animation there was actually her death animation, but not really. That is a complete trick. So again, we want to make sure that this guy's dead. That death animation there again, you want to do some more attacks there to make sure that he's dead. You don't want them to surprisingly get up and attack you and then have to use a knife. Especially the infinite knife, you don't want to get rid of it. Alright, a few more stabs, nicely done. All of them are now dead. So now that they're all dead, we're going to deal with the liquors. There's going to be 2 spawning right here. So here we're going to move to the left to make him jump. Now we're going to attack him. So with every knife stab, they flinch like that to give me another time to attack it. But this time, it avoided one of my attacks, which is fine. We have plenty of heals, and now one's dead. So now that guy's gonna lunge. Oh my goodness, I got lucky. And now we can attack it. So this one did not give me any problems. Yeah, it didn't get enough time to escape my lunges. And I didn't miss like a certain part to make it flinch that way. And yeah, the second liquor posed no problems at all. So we're on fine state here. And I think I might want to take some intentional damage from a zombie to go into caution state to give me a little bit of a time save with that little speed boost that Claire has that I mentioned at the very beginning of the run. Alright, so now that we grab the modulator, we can go back down and activate the power within the room, this part of the room. Again, if you get the modulator on the B store at the very beginning, you don't have to go through all this. You don't have to kill the lickers, the zombies, nothing. Because you don't run through that room 40 times like I'm about to do right now. Okay, we don't run through the room 40 times. We run through this section probably 3 times. No, 4 times, excuse me, on Claire A. So this would be the second time that we're running through the entire room. So after we solve this puzzle, um, we're gonna go through the room again and go ahead and complete the herbicide so that we can go ahead and get the last badge to go ahead and fight G3. So you see, everything is dead in this room, and now I can just walk through here normally without any problems. On hardcore, that part's completely difficult. I don't see how it's possible that I can survive that, even with the amount of healing items that I have right now. And there you go. So this is the last puzzle for the herbicide. And now we can go back upstairs where the ivies are at. So again, I have 2 breakable knives in this part of the game. I can get a third one, which I will be showing you guys where it's at right now. I won't be grabbing it in this run, but if I only had maybe one knife, one breakable knife, I would have gone ahead and grabbed it. So it's to the right here in this room, to the right. And yeah, it's a time loss, maybe about like 6 to 10 seconds, depending on how fast you get it. So as you saw there, I pulled out my menu and equipped the breakable knife. Look, we got some good RNG there. The ivy wasn't facing towards me, so I could just run right behind it. And now we can go ahead and use the herbicide. So using this herbicide makes all the lickers go to the ground. They are not walking around just yet. So here I am gonna unequip the gun because we don't need the gun anymore for stair skating. We can go ahead and use the knife, which I will be talking about more later on about stair skating with a knife. So there you go. That is the last badge for now. And now we can walk by these guys, especially since we're on caution state. It gives us that little running boost to run by them as fast as possible. So going into this room, there's one IV. Hopefully it's not a threat. And it was actually facing directly towards us. That was completely unlucky. So now we only have one breakable knife, which is totally fine. We could probably get grabbed here once. And they are 2 IVs though. So let's see what happens. And wow, we completely avoided it. I got extremely lucky there. The one Ivy that wasn't even a threat to me there blocked the other Ivy that was a threat. And yeah, he didn't grab me. He wasn't able to grab me. So nicely done. So now we have one breakable knife to spare, which will save us like maybe like half a second after the G3 boss fight. Alright, so now we're going to the G3 boss fight. I have plenty of healing items for the G3 boss fight. And I want to say that the strats for G3 are completely different between 120 and 60 FPS again, because 120 FPS you do more damage. For 120 FPS, what I do for the fight is attack the eyes on the first phase, and then he'll go into like some vulnerable state, and it'll completely skip the second phase and jump to the third phase, and that's a major time save. But since we can't do that on 60 FPS, we're just gonna attack it normally and only go for one of the eyes on his body. So there, as you saw, I went back to the item box because I realized how many healing items I have in my inventory. And yeah, I'm gonna take all of my healing items now because we don't need any more puzzle pieces. So now it's just a bunch of healing items and knives in my inventory. So yeah, before the fight starts, instead of taking the left and activating the next part of the game, I'm gonna go ahead and grab this red herb and then interact with my item box and grab the rest of my healing items. Again, the more healing items, the safer the run is on hardcore. Definitely want to save as many healing items as possible for the boss fights, especially this one. This one could be pretty rough if you don't know how to avoid its attacks. I'll be explaining how to avoid the attacks as best as possible. So here we go. So I am on caution, so I can take one more hit before using a large healing item, especially with the red, green, and blue herbs. So here we're gonna attack the first eye on his leg. So every animation here, see that attack animation? We're gonna go ahead and get that attack animation all the time. That's the safest attack animation within this fight. So we're gonna stab him 4 times every time. If I can, get 5 if I'm lucky. And then um, run away from him and avoid the attack. So as you can see, every time he attacks me, I run away and pull out the knife to turn me around immediately so that I don't have to turn around myself. Again, playing on controller is pretty rough in this game. Turning is pretty rough. So yeah, every time I have enough distance to escape that attack, I pull out my knife to turn me around. Again, that does speed it up a little bit because you're able to go at him immediately and hit him 4 times. Usually, um, it's usually 3 attacks if you have enough time. But if you go to him right away, you can get 4 attacks in for sure. And if you're perfect enough, you can get 5. But getting 5 is pretty risky. Again, taking damage on the first phase is pretty rough because the second phase and the third phase are so much more difficult than this one. Alright, so there you go. That's the first phase. First phase is now over. Now we're going to try and deal as much damage for the second phase to take him to the third one. Alright, so that animation is probably one of the best. And now he's going to go ahead and attack again. So now we're going to try and go for the eye on his leg again. So there you go. So now that attack is probably the best as well. There are probably 3 attack animations that we favor in this fight. And that is the third one. There you go. So I've showed you guys all of the favorable attacks. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's probably the worst attacks there. Yeah, it's pretty tough to explain this fight while I'm doing it because it is very, very difficult to focus and attack this guy at the same time. Alright, so he should be almost done with the second phase. So there you go. So now we can do that attack animation again. And we're just going to do constant damage when we can till he goes into the third phase. Alright, so I think here he should be going to the third phase. Nicely done, yes. So we're going to take advantage of his change animation into his third phase. And do some more damage while he's pulling this out. I don't even know like if causing damage there depletes his HP. That's fine. So here we're going to do 2 attacks and then run away from him. And nicely done. Now we're going to attack him once here, run away from him. So there you go. Nice. So there's one animation I want to tell you guys. Let's see. Maybe he does it. See, when he does that, specifically, he does this big attack. And this big attack is probably the best attack in the third phase. It's because you can do plenty of damage before he gets ready to attack again. And nicely done. I ran away just in time. So this animation, you cannot get close to him until he's done. There you go. So here I'm going to attack once. Oh, I actually attacked twice. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. You only want to attack once here. Yeah, I basically took a risk there. If you attack twice, you probably won't have enough time to run away from his other animation. His attack animation. Alright, escape here. Nice. I'm going to do 1 attack here. No, you see? You attack twice, you pay the price. So here is completely risky. I almost died. Since he's doing damage over and over, he could have hit me again on danger and I would have died. But since we have red, green, and blue herbs, we should be good to go for this fight. So there you go. We got that animation again. Nicely done. So now we have plenty of time to maybe attack him 4 or 5 times. And this probably should end the fight. Nice. Nicely done. So that's G3 on hardcore knife only on 60 FPS. Again, 60 FPS, the strat's completely different to 120 FPS. If you guys want to see a 120 FPS commentary, just go ahead and let me know. Or any other commentary for the other categories for knife only in this game. I'll gladly go ahead and do it for you guys. Now I want to mention that since it's 60 FPS, the console can do these strats. But the thing is, with console, the frame rate fluctuates between 30 and 60. You're not going to get a fixed 60 like you will do on PC. But yeah, the only difference is the boss fights will be just a little bit longer. Since it is on 30 FPS, you're not going to be doing as much damage as 60 FPS knife damage. Again, the higher the frame rate, the more damage the knife does. Excuse me. Alright, so now we get the last badge. And now we're going to go ahead and run towards the G4 boss fight. G4 is the last boss fight within this story. We're playing Claire B, that would have been a G5 boss fight. And
Get the hell out of here.
the difference, the difference, excuse me. The boss fight for G5 is completely ridiculous. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen my runs for Claire B, just go ahead and check it out. The fight is so easy for knife only, especially on hardcore or even standard. They're both the same. That's why I say it's super easy in hardcore. Alright, so I do have the infinite knife and I have one breakable knife. So here I am going to equip the breakable knife because we got to deal with 5 IVs. We can avoid 3 very easily, but 2 of them we cannot avoid easily. Yeah, they might go ahead and grab me, and I do not want to waste my infinite knife just yet because we have one more boss fight to deal with. So to the right, there is a first aid spray. I am going to go ahead and grab it. So there you go. I'm going to equip the breakable knife. And there you go. So now there is another knife to the right where it says warning. It's like that little shelf there. We're just going to completely avoid it. So as I mentioned before with stair skating with a knife, you can stair skate with the knife as well. You do not need a gun. But the thing is, if you have a gun equipped and you're trying to stair skate with the knife, it won't be as effective. The knife takes a while to come out. But if you don't have a gun equipped, you'll be good to go. You can stair skate with the knife. Another thing is, you cannot stair skate 100% with the flashlight as well when it's out. This is why I unequipped the gun way before, because we do not pull out the flashlight anymore for the rest of the run. That was way back in the lab when I turned on the power for the first time. Alright, so we do not need to wait for Sherry. We just gotta go ahead and interact with this door, and then Sherry will just spawn.
Sherry, what are you? I think I'm looking it from the other side.
Alright, so here is where 2 IVs will spawn. One of them will spawn right here, face first. We're gonna go ahead and destroy the orbs. Those orange orbs that it has, you destroy them and it'll stun them. It won't kill them. The only way you can kill them is burn them until they look all burnt. They'll literally look burnt. But yeah, as you can see, I just stunned them for a little while, and that'll give us enough time to escape the room before they get back up. It takes a while for them to get back up, maybe about, I don't know, 30 seconds or more. Yeah, they regenerate by creating those orbs again. So nicely done. So now we gotta wait for Sherry. She takes a while. Alright, Sherry, thank you.
Nice work.
Okay, so I still have my breakable knife, and I'm gonna get rid of it here with this zombie that's on fire, because we don't need it anymore, and we don't want to waste time running away from his lunges, so we just go ahead and use our breakable knife there. Alright, so now the only knife that I have in my inventory is the infinite knife. And we're going to be using that infinite knife for the G4 boss fight. So before we go into that, we're going to go ahead and grab this healing item. I have 5 healing items, and 3 of them give me that extra HP boost, which is super nice. For G4 especially, G4 can be pretty bad depending on how his attack animations go. Alright, so now we just gotta put in that huge puzzle piece into this area. Well, I don't even know what the heck it is, to be honest. And yeah, so now we can go ahead and fight G4. So with G4, what we want to do here is attack its eyes. See those eyes right there? You want to pop as much of them as possible. So here, once he drops down, we're going to try and pop all of them, and we did. Nice. See, that is just maximum damage. There you go. So that animation, again, just like G3, you just got to wait until it's over to attack him. Alright, let's avoid this attack. Okay, never mind, we couldn't. So, when we get hit in this fight, he'll end up getting in my face like that, and I'm able to do as much damage as possible. What I call it there is that G4 gets cocky. That's what I usually say for the boss fights, especially for G3 and G4. They get cocky in your face, just start screaming in front of you, and you're able to do mad damage before they're able to attack you again. Alright, so we're going to run away from this attack animation again. We got to let it finish through, and then cause some more damage here. And yeah, so here I'm taking intentional damage so that he gets cocky in my face again, so that I'm able to do more damage. I have plenty of healing items to use, So I'm taking advantage of it. So there, I probably should have taken damage, but that's fine. There as well, because now he's gonna climb, yeah. So, when he climbs, usually it's during his mid-attack, and if he's near that perfect wall that he can climb. Alright, so now this gives me enough time to hit his eyes. Nicely done. And there you go. G4 is now done. So yeah, G4 really isn't too bad. Again, if you cause body damage, it doesn't really make the fight go faster. Like, it doesn't really deplete his HP. You always want to attack its eyes for maximum damage. Alright, so there you go. Pop his eye there, and now the run is over. So that is Hardcore Knife Only Clear A on 60 FPS. Speedrun. What a nice run. And this is actually a world record run, guys. So 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 37 seconds. Nicely done. If you guys want to see any more commentaries on any other categories, just go ahead and let me know. And I'll definitely get it done for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.